Welcome back to the Football Terrace. It's straight facts on Friday. Massive breaking news is that Arsenal are advancing their talks and the deal for Benjamin Sesko. He is the number one target. Everybody internally, according to reports, are agreed on this deal. He will be the new main man, the new number 9 at Arsenal Football Club if and when they get a deal with RB Leipzig done. Manchester United have officially submitted their second bid. In totality, it's just over the £60 million mark. The base is believed to be £50 million plus performance-related and United achievement-based add-ons. We're talking that. We're looking at Morgan Rogers. Could he be on the move from Aston Villa, who I actually think are in a lot of trouble financially going into this summer. They took a massive gamble last year. We're also touching on Chelsea. They've got a brand new number 9 in Liam Delap, but they want Ekitike. They want Mohamed Kudus. We're going to be getting Don's views and Don's opinions on that as well. Gentlemen, how are you both?
Good, man. I haven't really had much news today. Transfers Chelsea related, but things must be bubbling away right now, man. See, I can just sense a bomber coming soon.
It does feel like there's something big on the horizon for a few teams, like a few really big deals that I'm sure we're going to discuss. Speaking of big deals, Tottenham got rejected again today. Angel Gomez has turned down Tottenham to join Marseille.
I saw that. Let me just say something before we even get to that. First of all, I just want to say Eid Adha Mubarak to everyone who celebrates. That's number one. Number two, don't get me started on Spurs, because yesterday I had a whole rant while I was streaming over Spurs. And let me tell you why. I wish we pre-agreed a deal with Spurs going into that final that we'll split, no matter what the outcome of that game is, we're going to split it in half. You guys get the trophy, we'll get the Champions League spot. The waste of space that Tottenham are doing right now, having that Champions League spot, is actually annoying me. They can't compete with Chelsea for signings. They can't compete with Arsenal for signings. They can't compete for City with signings. And they can't compete with Liverpool for signings. They're wasting a valuable spot. If we had Champions League, you could say, you know what? United with Champions League, plus the pool that they already have with that Champions League, they can actually take some players from some of these clubs. I'm getting so annoyed that Spurs are in Champions League football and they're linked with Jack Grealish and I don't know who, Leroy Sané. I mean, are we even joking? You're trying to get into Champions League with Jack Grealish and Leroy Sané as your marquee signings for the summer. What a waste of a valuable Champions League spot that would have been. Honestly, it pisses me off even more now that these guys are there, because everyone is just going to get their targets in the Champions League while Spurs are just sitting there doing nothing. Which, by the way, is a reminder. It's a reminder, by the way. Sorry, Don. It's a reminder to everyone who says, oh, if you get Champions League, you have pool, you're able to attract the best players. That's never really the case. It's not always the case, I should say, because some people cannot have Champions League and attract Gyokeres, and some people can be in the Champions League and they're worried about Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish is not even going to the Club World Cup. The club said, you're so shit, you're staying home. I will have more appearances at the Club World Cup than him, because I will be sitting in the stands for a couple of these games, and I'll send you guys pictures and be like, hey, look, I've made more appearances in a Club World Cup than fucking Jack Grealish. Absolute joke, bro.
Really, he's been linked to Spurs for so long, man. Even before he went to City, this guy was linked to Spurs and whatnot. But listen, everything that you said there, Staffy, that's exactly why I didn't want you guys to win it. Because Tottenham with Champions League football, it doesn't really do anything for them. You know what I mean? They're going to be in there. Okay, cool. You're going to be in there watching your team on Wednesday, Tuesday and that. But really and truly, they're not going to get to a final again. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of signings and that, Levy's still going to hold them back. So it is where it is, man. You lot, it's a big L for you, man. But it looks like you can still attract a lot of players right now, Staffy. Mbeumo on the horizon right now. Cunha.
Well,
who would have thought? Who would have thought? Where's Lawless, by the way? The day we get linked.
Yeah, Lawless.
By the way, Lawless
today. I'm working out of London. Or that. No, it's because the whole kudos to Chelsea news, which we're going to get into, Manchester United and the situation with the players with ball after giving it the big and last week that we can't attract anybody. You know, the only weapon he would have had left today was to go, yeah, but it's only because you're paying them over the odds. but are we really? When you look at the quality of the players, they're getting paid less than the swaps that are going out. Yeah, I'm not surprised he bottled it. But on that, Man United are about to submit, or have submitted, sorry, a second bid for Bryan Mbeumo. It's believed to now go. It's believed to be around 60 million in totality, but 50 million as a base fee, a guarantee to Brentford, with around 10 million of add-ons that will rise. A lot of that is going to be based on the amount of goals he scores, appearances, and of course, United getting back into Champions League football. And I'm going to go to you first, Staffy, on this. I mean, a week ago, most people were saying this deal wasn't possible, but United have got the player to agree, which is important because it's made all the others, Arsenal, Spurs, Forest, Newcastle, step away. So there's no bidding war for the player. It does feel relatively close to an agreement with Brentford, as much as they're trying to push for, sort of, there was talk from Fabrizio of them wanting £70 million. They were never going to get that. I don't think they will. But as an individual, as a player, how excited are you about, the second bid and United getting this deal over the line?
Yeah, listen, I was over the moon when we got not the Fabrizio bomba, sorry, the Ornstein bomba about Mbeumo, because I really like that player. I didn't think we'd get him. I didn't know how serious we'd be. I generally thought he might go to Newcastle because I thought that move just makes so much sense in so many aspects, and I think he does fit their team very well. So the fact that he chose to join us, I was over the moon. Obviously, I was here actually on the terrace when you did the reaction video that day, so I was very happy about it. We're entering this whole thing again where people say, "Oh, United are overpaying," and it's starting to annoy me again because Mbeumo. Now, the second offer seems to be around £60 million. And just yesterday, people were saying we're trying to underpay for him when we submitted 45 plus add-ons. And now people are saying 60 million is too much. I generally don't know where people... I mean, it's subjective. You can think whatever you think. But I just want to know what criteria are people using to say someone is underpaid or overpaid. If someone is underpaid for 45, but then you add 15 mil, surely it's not an overpay. Because it sounds very relative to the market price that he should be, which I do think it's around 50 to 60. That was my whole thought from the beginning. Now, let's do this. How much do you quantify, or how much do you value, I should say, 20 Premier League goals? Because if I just tell you in isolation, you are purchasing 20 Premier League goals with 8 assists. And by the way, those 20 Premier League goals are just 1 in 5. Sorry, not 1 in 5. That's just, it is 1 in 5 because only 1 in 5 players was able to do that last season. Sorry, only 5 players was able to do that last season. So we're buying one of them. So you're buying a top 5 Premier League scorer last season for 60 mil. And just to compare it to a similar price, last season, Solanke went for 65. And he also had 20 plus Premier League goals when he went. So it's just like when I look at it, how do people say that's an overprice or underprice? I just want to know. Because I think 60 million for someone who scored 20 Premier League goals. By the way, in a Brentford team that lost Ivan Toney, and everyone thought they probably capitulate if anything, and they had only 2 players step up. One of them was Mbeumo, and the other one was Wissa. He had 19. The only reason people are not really in for Wissa like that is because he's about 4 or 5 years older than Mbeumo. I look at this, I think it's an amazing deal. I think anyone who gets Mbeumo for 60 mil, 50 to 60 mil, is a great price. I thought 50 or less, that's a bargain. That's a steal. I thought it was a steal if we get him at 45. But we are paying what I think is a fair price, 60 million for him. So again, I look at this and everything that he's done last season and what he brings, especially how bad United have been last season in scoring goals. I look at that and I'm like, how can 60 million be an overpay for a player like him with the manager? Like, if it was someone that was just like, just vibes, he's just good on the ball, people say, oh, he's baller FC. I understand where it comes from. But he has 20 Premier League goals. How can anyone say 60? How can anyone say a player that scored 20 Premier League goals is not worth 60 million?
They're just being salty, though, because you already know, Staffy, he goes into so many teams right now and starts, bro. He starts for Man City. He starts for Chelsea. He starts for me, he starts for Arsenal. Right, if you don't want to play him right wing, you play him down the middle. I think he would start there. You know what I mean? And you'd actually add more GNA in that midfield. Right, he starts for United. He starts for Tottenham. He starts for everyone, bro. I think that the thing that people are looking at is obviously the fact that his contract finishes next year. You know what I'm saying? So but then
they've got a year option, so it's essentially 2 years left.
2 years, yeah. You got 2 years left then, yeah. Because if they can trigger that automatically. right? Wait, doesn't he have to agree to that though?
No, most clubs do it where the clubs trigger it. Does that make sense? So it's a club option, so the club can do it. Yeah.
So I think it'll be a brilliant signing, man. Like I've said, I've been bantering United about how bad they've been, but when I actually just stop being shameless and break it down, I've said many times their defense isn't the problem, right? Their midfield needs a few tweaks, but it's mainly their attack, and that's why I don't go fully gun ho on Amrim. Like me and you, Staffy, Terry, have spoken about Amrim many times, and I've said, listen, he needs to improve. But when I'm seeing you guys building from the back, and I see you get the ball to Rasmus, it's like you're playing with 10 men. The ball just bounces off of him. It breaks down the attacks. And I can actually empathize with you guys because, like I said, when we finished 12th, our main problem was goals, right? So in Mbeumo, Cunha, you bring in Gyokeres right now because, again, domino effect. Sesko is looking like he could go to Arsenal. Chelsea right now looks like we're trying to wrap up Ekitike, right? That only leaves Liverpool and United. And for me, looking at it there, I think United will push for Gyokeres more, and he'll probably even be open to that move. Because you've got Amrim there, he's got a system that he knows. It's still the Premier League. Yes, it's not Champions League football, but it's still a big club, right? That's an easy project to sell to him because it's like, yo, we've got Cunha there, we've got Mbeumo there. You come in and get the chances that these guys are going to create for you. You're getting us back into Champions League, right? You're going to help us compete for the other domestic trophies we're in. We're playing one game a week. So you can still sell it to this guy without Champions League football and he can still come in. But you're just a bit lucky that the options for Gyokeres are going down right now. You know what I mean? A couple teams that would retract this guy over you lot, in my opinion, aren't really going for him right now. If that makes sense. Do you know what I'm saying? If you get him in, that is one of the best.
It does, and sometimes that happens in life. Sometimes things just sort of fall onto your plate a little bit, and I think that listen, more will come out in the wash. You know, I think most of the reports are saying that Arsenal have decided to go for Sesko as opposed to Isak turning them down. So if that's their decision and it opens up an opportunity for Man United and Gyokeres comes in and he does well, great. I thought that Chelsea would have gone for Gyokeres and I think you'd land him ahead of us. But you've gone for Ekitike and you've got our number one target, which was Delap. And I sometimes wonder, you know, a lot of United fans are, why was Delap our number one? And now we're going for Gyokeres, who everyone thinks is better. Well, maybe the lie of the land was, well, Arsenal were going to get Gyokeres. So United put more energy into a player they thought they could land. But with Arsenal changing their mind, it's opened up an opportunity. I think signing Brian Mbeumo, and I do think this deal will get done, having Cunha at the club, I think it makes it a much easier sell now to the Gyokereses of the world, to the potential midfielders we might go for. Emi Martinez is a goalie we're looking at, and I know he messed up on the final day against us. You don't like him, Staffy?
You know what it is? If we just go by the rule is he's better than Onana, then yes, let's just agree that he's better than Onana and not even have a debate. Okay, but if we go by that logic, I can name so many goalkeepers that are better than Onana. So like the bar is very low if that's the argument we're gonna have. But if you're asking me, is Martinez a good goalkeeper? I honestly think, I genuinely mean this, he's the most overrated goalkeeper I have ever seen in my life. This guy has been goalkeeper of the year 3 years in a row. If I ask you guys two here, forget about what I think. At any point of your life, did you ever feel like Martinez was the best goalkeeper in the world? Forget the best goalkeeper. Did you ever think he was top 3 in the world? You're probably going to say no. He gets rated so high.
He had a good year, though, when they won the World Cup. And he was key for that, to win the World Cup as well, bro.
So here's my thing, Don. I do think he was key. He was very, very key for Argentina to win everything. I don't think without him, they would have won these trophies.
No.
So you're probably thinking, so how could you say that and think he's overrated? I beg you, go watch any comps they make about Martinez. It is always penalties. And I always say, if your goalkeeper's comps is just penalties, it's not a good sign. I think he's the best, at least in my lifetime, the best goalkeeper in terms of penalty shootouts I've ever seen. A lot of it has to do with his antics before the penalty taking, his mentality, the way he strikes fear into the players coming in to take the penalties. He has them on lock. He absolutely has them on strings. Outside of that, the guy is very mistake prone. The difference between him and an Onana, as an example, number one, Onana makes more mistakes. So we already established that. No one is debating, by the way, that Onana is better. However, his mistakes never get highlighted because he doesn't play for a big club. If he played for Man United, he'd be bantered so much for the amount of mistakes that I don't even have to go that far. Just watch the last game. One-on-one with Højlund. The guy thought he was JBL, and he gave him a clothesline from hell. That's what he did. He said, fuck it. I'm going against... He didn't even think this striker right here has 6 goals this season. I fancy myself to defend him one-on-one. He just comes in and he's like, nah, let me just take him out, and that's it. And sells the game in the first half. He makes so many mistakes. He's better than Onana, but he's so overrated. He's not that good.
Okay, so I could agree that he might be overrated. For me, though, it's that word that everyone loves and hates. It's market opportunity. I think he's a very good goalkeeper. Do I think he's actually the best goalkeeper in the world? No, I think that's Alisson. But some of the Joan Garcia, a lot of people liked, but he wanted to go to Barcelona, so that's off the table. There's the guy from Italy, Milinkovic-Savic. Again, I don't know anything about him other than what I've read, so to have an opinion on him is what it is. He's a massive improvement, Emi Martinez, on Onana. Does that mean that in another year or two we couldn't look for an even better goalkeeper? No, but I think we have to look at the situation and go, who's available? Can we land one of the best options in the world right now in terms of, can we attract them? Are they available? Are they attainable? But one thing is for sure, we cannot go into next season with Onana in goal. He will cost us at least 5 games. Martinez does have his moments, but I still think in terms of saving us points, having big moments, being a force for good, I think he'll improve us as a team. Where I agree with you is I don't think signing Emi Martinez fixes our goalkeeping issue for the next 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. But I think it's definitely an improvement. I'm about to say, Don looked like he froze there.
No, I think this is what I think, Terry. If we get him on a cheap price, I don't think he's worth that much, because I'm hearing they want 25 to 30 for him. If Mike Maignan might go to Chelsea for 25 to 30, I'm sorry, you're not the same price. However, I look at him as a goalkeeper who's going to be like, he's a transition for us, where basically you bring him in, he'll start for you 1 or 2 years, just because he's going to make less mistakes than Onana. He's going to make mistakes. It's just going to be less than Onana. And in the meantime, you recruit the new goalkeeper. Everyone is suffering right now from a very dire goalkeeper market. When's the last time we've seen a very top goalkeeper? There's none of them around.
Yeah, no. I think that's what you should agree do. On that. I agree on it. Just trying to get back to my point that I was making about Mbeumo. I do think, that's fine. I do think he'll help us sign better quality football players. I think that is something that will happen, and I'm quite confident about that it's such a good signing. I know it isn't over the line yet, and I don't want to tempt fate, but the second bid is in. It's funny that I'm being called out by journalists, and it's so hilarious because I quote tweeted my own tweet about the second bid going in, saying the media reports that United are offering more than 60 million for Mbeumo are misleading. United will offer a base guaranteed amount of 50 to 55 million with add-ons up to 10 million. So these add-ons relate to performance, etc. And then there's 3 or 4 journalists that are commenting saying, you don't think that they're having a go at me. Don't think Brentford are mugs. Their negotiators are not idiots. United have folded before. People are challenging them. In the end, they've all said the same thing. I suspect Brentford will end up getting around the 55 million mark guaranteed. So what I said then, this just shows you people are journalists. A lot of journalists have showed their asses, not just their cheeks. A lot of these grown men have parted the cheeks. They've shown the old chocolate starfish to the world in the last few months. Talking about United's finances, and the news on our finances that have come out today are, listen, we haven't got the greatest finances in the world, but we're making very minor profits now, which in the grand scheme of things just means we can spend. You've got to remember as well that, for instance, we're spending £50 million on Carrington. That's part of the reason why we're still not making more profits, but that's for infrastructure. When it comes to infrastructure, that's minus off of your PSR and your FFP. If you invest in the women's game, the stadiums you build, you buy youth players, all of this is deductible from your losses. So if you lose 150 million, but 120 million of that is part of a new stadium, rebuilding the training ground, investing in the women's team, buying players of 18 years old and younger, all of that is written off. So it's a lot of these journalists kind of came in for United and they lied and pushed misinformation about we were in a bad situation financially, but they made it sound apocalyptic. And what they didn't do when the ticket price increases were happening, when the redundancies were horrible but correct actions at the time, is explain to people that That's how United are going to afford to spend. They're now doing this thing of, I don't get how they can be in financial trouble, but now spend money on players. Well, like the Football Terrace told you all, we reduced the player salaries over the course of last season by £50 million. Less outgoing on salary last year. That's now being invested in players. In terms of the combination of ticket price increases and lowering expenditure, we saved the club around 50 to 60 million. That's 110 million pounds back in our coffers. And the only thing that worried me about doing that is whether or not Ineos would actually spend that on the squad. I think we can see that we are as of right now. And that's why these journalists are all having a pop, because they lied to their audience. They lied in their articles and are now looking really stupid. So what they're going to do is start attacking people like myself that have been critical of the things we've had to do, slamming the Glazers for hiring too many people and causing this horrible problem, but for knowing what the fucking truth was. Like, people have been gaslit, really gaslit into thinking United were going to fall like happened to Chelsea when you guys were spent. I remember I've still got a TikTok now, my biggest ever TikTok clip that KJ and the guys clipped up and put out, where I spoke about Chelsea breaching FFP. And this was like 3 years ago. And I was trying to explain to people, no, learn what net spend is. They've amortized these deals over 8 years. They're nowhere near breaking it. Even when you got into financial difficulties and then sold the assets, everyone's like, yep, they're done now. So no, Chelsea are only done.
By the way, we're still the Prem are still allowing that as well. I know there's a lot of rivals here.
But I knew what the Prem were going to allow it, because all clubs have now looked at what you've done. And this is what clubs are now going to do. They're going to start to compartmentalize. They're going to start ring fencing off different areas of the business. Hotels, land, women's team, youth team. Like Man United have got in the museum. Some clubs will have restaurants in them. Do you know how much Spurs could do? They could probably go, right, the concert part of the business, you know, Tottenham FC concerts, Tottenham FC go-karting. They've got a famous bar they open up. They could probably turn that into its own business. All they've got to do is create individual businesses. Then they can start selling them to themselves and raising even more money. So that's why no one's going to vote against it now. People will want that as a way of increasing the value and diversifying their portfolio as well. It actually mitigates risk against the main business. And United have done that to a certain degree. Like some of the way we've split some of the trading accounts across a number of different businesses. So at the end of the day, what Clearlake have done is innovative. It's not against the rules, and now the other Premier League clubs have voted it in to stay, essentially. So yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, very happy with the Mbeumo deal. United.
Let me ask you.
Go on.
Yeah? So you now signed in Mbeumo, you've signed in Cunha, and you signed Gyokeres, right? Where you planning to finish next season with that attack? Let me go to you, Staffy, first.
I hate you. You know what? You're doing this on purpose. Because you know that front line is very good. No, I can't tell you that. You know why? Because the main issue for me still, I had two issues last season. The front, but I think the midfield doesn't get spoken about enough. And I don't think we're going to fix our midfield. So I don't know. I generally don't know. I think that front line, I actually tweeted that yesterday and it rubbed a few people the wrong way. I said that Gyokeres and Mbeumo and Cunha, that's the best front line in the league. A little bit of it was a joke.
The best
but I generally do believe.
That's definitely wild about that. That's one of the best attacks in the league, bro.
Yeah, I said it's the best, but I'm not gonna lie. Before I see it actually like play together, I can't really say that. But I do generally think it's at least a top 4 or top 5 front line in my opinion. The problem is going to be the midfield, and it doesn't look. Unfortunately, it looks like another season where we're not going to reinvest in our midfield. So I think that's going to be what sets us back. I generally do believe that. So it's going to be a hard thing for me to say. Let me answer the question
slightly more directly than Staffy. If we sign if we sign, say, 4 more players well, let's say 3 more, if Gyokeres comes in per your question, of that level, of the 3 we've signed, if we get a midfielder, a defender, and a goalkeeper that we all go, they're of that similar ilk. If we sign all of them, so we've got 6 players coming in like that, I expect us to finish in a European place.
Place is you saying top 6?
Well, I mean, how far? Yeah, well, it depends, doesn't it? Like that could be top 6, top 7.
You think it would be a threat for top 4? Is what I'm asking you, Terry.
I don't know about top 4, because you have to weigh up what you guys all do. So you've gone and got yourself the lap. You're probably going to get Ekitike. You're looking at a wide player. You're looking at a brand new goalkeeper. You're better. Liverpool have just gone out there
I like that. I like that. We've got progress because when Amorim first came in, you're like, no, we're not far off Chelsea. But now, yeah, all right, cool.
It's one of these things. I mean, what Amorim's system really exposed to us was the lack of physicality. That I knew we didn't have great athleticism, but it got exposed even more in a more sophisticated system. But Liverpool have improved massively. City are just about to get. Well, they've already got Reinders. They're going to get Cherki. They've gone and got Aït-Nouri. They're probably going to get Livramento. You've got Arsenal that have got Zubimendi coming in. We're going to get onto the Sesko news earlier. They're going to spend more money. They're looking at Williams's and Rodrigo's. So I look at those four because you are the top four. We might close the gap, might get closer, but this is where what I won't do as a United fan is suddenly put unnecessary and unwarranted pressure on the team because we're not in this league in isolation. If none of you were allowed to sign anybody this summer and we had that window, I have a different opinion, but you guys are all looking like you're getting stronger and better, or at least from Liverpool's perspective, maintaining where they are. So this is why you can't always judge your own progress based on how you compare to others. That's why patience is needed because it's relativity plays a part in this as well. So United could come 6th next season or 7th, but it could still be it could be a massive shift and improvement between last year.
I didn't want to tell him, but it was in his flow. It was in his flow.
Sorry? Ange just got sacked.
Who's announced that?
Matt
Law.
Well, yes, what we said the other day. Well, we'll fly across to that news because that's obviously going to be massive. We'll go and get that and we'll put that up. But yeah, I mean, is anybody surprised to see Ange sacked? I don't think anybody thought that was...
Oh my God, Ben Jacobs just tweeted it too. Breaking: Ange Postecoglou has been sacked by Spurs following a week of deliberation by Daniel Levy. Wow.
Which just goes to show all those Tottenham fans that were crying at me for doing a video. He was gone. And in fact, we did a video on Straight Facts maybe 2 or 3 months ago. And I don't even think they've done that much deliberating. I think it's all just been about let the celebrations for the cup happen, let him have his holiday. I still think they decided to sack him months ago. I don't think they've changed their minds. They might have had a conversation about, do we change our minds again and keep him? But Ange was always going to be sacked. For me, I always felt there was a dot on the cards to happen because the season, a lot of people say, well, your season weren't much better. Well, in fact, ours was worse because we didn't win a trophy. But this man's nearly £500 million into spending. And they came 17th. There was no way he was going to keep his job. There was no way he's staying. And it is right that he goes, in my opinion. I think they've done the right thing there, Tottenham, by moving him on. I wonder who they're going to get now. I think a lot of the talk is going to be Thomas Frank.
I actually want to see Xavi. I actually want to see Xavi, I want to see Xavi. Because the way certain people talk about him, the way people like Jules talk about him, right? They talk about him as if he's the Messiah. You know what I mean? So I actually want to see him come to the Prem, the real deal, and cook over here. Let's see.
What are we going to learn? Okay, here's the thing. Let's speak about this real quick. I agree with Terry. I think it's going to be Thomas Frank, and I think Thomas Frank is the right decision. Let me tell you why. I spoke to Jacob. You guys know, you know Jacob. You know the Spurs of America. I was talking to him a couple days ago. By the way, I mean, when he wakes up to this news, God bless this guy because he loves Ange way too much. But I'm over Spurs doing any projects. I don't want to see any project managers go there. I don't want to see a manager go there and they're like, if we give him the right players and we build a team for him, we're gonna be a sustainable team. We're gonna compete for top 4. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. Just get that out of your minds. Spurs is a big 6 club because of finances, not because of football. What they deserve. Not all of them, but what the majority of Spurs fans deserve is a manager that comes in and just plays what I like to call inferior football. Inferior football is when you never try to be the better team in the league. All you're going to do is you're going to play a little bit more in transition. You're going to be a very solid defensive team. And if you can hit teams on counter and you can finish somewhere in the top half of the table and pick up a couple trophies in a few years, that should be your objective. Spurs is not a project club. They don't have footballing ambitions. Some fans might say, "Oh, but that's my standard, and I want to be the best club in the country." That has never happened, and it's never going to happen. You will never find your club in a position where you're better than Chelsea, you're better than United, you're better than Arsenal, you're better than Liverpool, and you're better than City. These clubs are much more ambitious when it comes to football than you are. So it's not going to happen. Just get a Thomas Frank, Thomas Frank is not going to play a crazy high line. He's not going to try to do anything that anyone looks at it is like, oh, what is this philosophy? What is this identity? The guy's just going to play basic football that has been proven years and years and years to work in the Premier League, and he's done a great job with Brentford. He's going to come in. He's going to make you very defensively solid. He's going to make your players work hard, and you're going to be a transition team. And you're going to win a lot of games playing that way, and it's fine. You're just never going to – everyone who thinks sacking Ange now is a step in the right direction for them to improve next year in the league, and they're going to compete for top 4, top 5 European, it will not happen. Get it out of your heads. It will not happen. I hope this is never talked about on the terrace again, because it's a waste of my time. It's a waste of Terry's hosting time, and it's a waste of the audience's time. We've seen it for years, and it doesn't work.
But Spurs have really hurt you, haven't they, Staffy? The vim that you're coming with right now. Yeah.
You know, I actually liked Ange. I actually said, you know what, don't sack him because he reached an objective, which is winning a trophy. Sack him for his league form if you want, because the league form is diabolical. But for a club like Spurs, how much does winning a trophy kind of erase what you did outside of that? I thought that was big today. I think back in the day, the objective for Spurs is if a manager can get us in top 4 in Champions League, you're a great manager and we're keeping you. He did it, but he did it in a different route. He did it from the Europa League and winning the Europa League. So in my eyes, for a club that I look at as a small club, he massively overachieved when it comes to that. You sack him. We all know they're a first-round exit in the Champions League. And what does that do to your league? Congrats. You're going to go from 17th to finishing around 10th, 9th at best. That's what I look at them right now. And if as I said, if you get Thomas Frank, who I think his best finishing with Brentford was 8th. Honestly, with more financial backing that you could get from Spurs, you'll flirt somewhere around a Europa League and a Conference League position every year. But that's about it. I don't want to hear anything higher than that. They're not more ambitious than our clubs. It's simply that.
I think Thomas Frank's the right person for them. I really think he's the right manager for them, because even if they are ambitious, we've seen, I know they don't have a manager at their club right now. However, Angel Gomez has just turned them down for Marseille. No disrespect to Marseille, but I don't think Chelsea. By the way, if we're offering them what Spurs did, a first team berth, if Chelsea, Arsenal, if City or Liverpool or Newcastle, other Champions League teams in England, if Man United with no Champions League offered him a starting position in the 11 in midfield, I don't think he's picking Marseille. That's my personal opinion. Some people may disagree with it. That's a sign of where Tottenham are. Could Tottenham sign Mbeumo or Cunha without Champions League football? No. I think they are a decade or two, if not more, away from being anywhere near what United's and Chelsea's can do without Champions League football. Because it took Chelsea 2 decades to build up what you are. Does that make sense? And Spurs haven't even touched the sides of that. So I think that Thomas Frank is perfect for them. They regularly in my life built good quality squads. Good quality squads. Not the greatest squads in England, not the best teams in Europe, but very good to very good squads. They need a manager that will look at a team. What Thomas Frank is amazing at. And I know why they want Xavi's. I know why they want Zidane's. I know why they would love, this Klopp's available. I know why they want that, because they see it as when those guys have gone to clubs, they've won Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues and whatever else. But you need someone like a Thomas Frank, because he will only ever, on average, have the 5th, 6th, 7th best squad in the league. But Thomas Frank knows how to manage that. Thomas Frank knows this week we're going to attack. This week we're going to be pragmatic. This week you guys are going to be on the bench because I need that speed later in the game and I need that pragmatism now. This week I need all my guns firing from the beginning of the match. He will get it. And that's Ange, by the way. He only did that for Tottenham in the Europa League and they won it. That was the maddest part about him. If he would have been the same manager in the Prem that he was in Europe, they would have finished. I reckon they could have finished inside the top 6 or 7 last season. I think they have.
He done it himself. Like me and Dej.
He did. And they really, really need. They massively need a Thomas Frank. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. A manager like him to get the best out. What is a big team? So I do look at them as a big team and a big club. In comparison, I look at United's and Chelsea's and Liverpool's as like gargantuan, like giants of the game. But they're a big club, Tottenham. But they're never going to be the biggest in England. And they're never going to... You got to think about what they're competing against. when it comes to getting the best players from other Premier League teams and the best players across Europe, generally speaking, they're competing against. They're not as big as the 5 other members of the top 6. Newcastle have got an argument now to be able to attract more than them. You've then got Paris Saint-Germain, you've got Bayern Munich, you've got Inter Milan. I mean, I know they're looking to buy Rasmus. We'll get onto that later. But you've got, the Milans and the Italian clubs. You've, of course, got Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico are probably seen as more attractive than them, if not guaranteed to be more attractive than them. So when it comes to trying to sign the very best players in the world, you're so far down that list. You need someone, a manager that can handle that situation. Don't go and get your Contes or your Xavis, who I think need the best. Or they need at least they need some of the best that league can attract. Does that make sense? Because he hasn't got the best in the world at Napoli right now, Conte, but for the league, for the standard of the Italian league, he's got a very good team, if that makes sense. So, yeah, by the way, if Napoli were getting transported into the Premier League next season, he'd be asking for a lot of those players to go and asking for better, 110%. So, yeah, listen, he's gone, Big Ange. A lot of people are saying Big Ange sacked. Yeah, we've been talking about it for 10 minutes now. We broke it first here on the Football Terrace by reading Twitter. But
you need to get Thomas Frank and get Wissa with them. Honestly, those are going to be the great additions for them. If you get Thomas Frank, you get Wissa with them.
These guys just need to. It's time to humble yourself. You know what I mean? I know Ange was a little bit of a step backwards, like never managed in England before and whatnot. But Thomas Frank, he gives you the best of both worlds, man. He's able to coach in defense. He's able to coach in attack. He will still need the backing, of course. You know what I mean? But he's got something to work with in that team, man. That team should have never finished where they finished. What, 16th? You know what I mean? And he should also 17th. Yeah, he should also help out with their the amount of injuries they pick up, man. Because Ange Ball, that football, bruv, you're running about consistently. The fullbacks, when I was at that game and I was at the stadium live, there's literally 2 centre backs to leave at the back. The fullbacks attack with everyone else.
Romero's now gone, by the way, because Romero said if they get sack Ange, she's leaving. So that means Romero's gone.
Boy.
So now that's someone looking at him.
That's someone Chelsea should be looking at. I'll be real, man. That's someone Chelsea should be looking at. I'll be honest with you. Leadership, you know what I mean? Premier League proven. He's got the age, the experience. He's
World
got
Cup winner. That's all you needed to say.
Enzo's boy, World Cup winner. Yeah, man. Listen,
I forgot about Enzo.
I'll take him at Chelsea. I can't lie, man. I think him.
He's a top defender. I think, you know what? I think now you're going to see a lot of players are going to try to leave the Spurs team. I generally do. And it's going to start with him.
What do you think about Ange, though? Do you think he's going to fail upwards now? Or, do you think that's the end of it now? Like, this guy's going to be getting them sort of mid-table teams.
I think he can fall upwards if you look at it that way. But it's like he might do, he could take over. If he went and took over a Benfica, he could go there and win league titles. Does that make sense? He'll be in the Champions League as an example. Is he going to go and manage? I mean, which big clubs need a manager? Like AC Milan the Inter Milan didn't come a knocking, did they? Do you know what I'm saying? They're not going that, Real Madrid weren't saying, hang on, let's hold back on bringing in Alonso because Ange might get sacked. That wasn't happening. But what he may end up getting is a job at one of the biggest clubs, but in a league that is 6th, 7th, 8th in the rankings. Does that make sense? But a team where he can win trophies at. And I think for him, he strikes me as a kind of person. He might go Turkey and get a Galatasaray at some point. Does that make sense? A job like that. But, he strikes me as a kind of person that if he's winning the league with Benfica, Ange will see that as being better than coming third in the Premier League with Spurs. Because he'll see it as I'm winning a league title, and that's more important. Where I think the football fans look at it and say it's brilliant. But we all know for a fact that Benfica probably wouldn't finish inside the top 6 or 7 in the Premier League, if we're being honest about those things. They're just not at that level. Overall, the physicality is different in those leagues. Technically, very good league, but the physicality is not there. But they've got so much more money than everybody else, barring Porto. He'll do well at a club like that, I think, personally. Season 3 is cancelled. I mean, that comment now is even funnier, isn't it?
What a waste of a statement, man. That could have been a cold quote, man. There goes that quote.
He should have just left it at what he left it at before, bro. It's so cringe. You just finished 16th, 17th. Like, what? You thought your job was safe? You know what I'm saying? That was him. That was him basically trying to. I know what he was trying to do. He said that in public. Yes, because now it's like these lot are going to be forced to keep me because I'm talking about season 3. But they already had other plans, bro. They already had other plans. Man.
Does this now change the conversation that who had a more successful season, Spurs and I don't know Arsenal or whoever? Does that change the
conversation?
Surely you don't sack your manager after a successful season.
But it was always Arsenal.
Sure, I mean, if that's what you think. I generally mean it. Like I'm not even trying to catch you
guys
up.
It was, and look, we put all the banter aside. It was Arsenal because the one thing Spurs did better than Arsenal was win the Europa League. But Arsenal weren't in it. It's like saying, I don't know, the team that won the FA Vase trophy had a better season than Man United. They didn't. They were competing in an easier league and in a tournament that we weren't in.
Everyone had a better season than us, Terry. Stop it.
These
Let's
conversations,
not use United, please.
These conversations have become. It was funny when it was banter, but in reality, when we're having real conversations, you can't be coming 17th and say they've had a better season than the team that came second in the league. I just can't fathom that personally. Yes, they won a trophy, but Arsenal weren't in that tournament, so you can't compare them to Arsenal. Compare them against United, because if we'd have come 5th or maybe 6th, maybe, and didn't win anything, and they won the league, I think it's more of a comparison. But for teams that weren't in it, it's weird, because every Chelsea fan that came on our match reaction when they won the Conference League said the same thing. Glad we completed this. They all said this. You all said this. Glad we won the Conference League, but I never want to be in it again, which dictates that you'd rather be in the Champions League for 10 years and not win it than ever be in the Conference League and win it.
But the difference is, Terry, we both got top 4. That's the difference with us.
Again, I'm not comparing you to Chelsea. That isn't the conversation, Don. What I'm stating is winning one of those competitions is an achievement when you're in it. But when you see the reaction of fans that won it, they're like, but I never want to be in it again. I want to stay in the Champions League. So therefore, saying you've had a better season than a team that wasn't in that competition that you never want to be in again because you won it, that doesn't make sense when they're in that competition that you always want to remain in. So it literally means what Arsenal were doing last year, what City were doing, what Liverpool were doing. Forget Liverpool because they won the league. Being in the Champions League is what Chelsea fans and Spurs fans and Man United fans want more than being in the Conference League.
I hear what you're saying, but if Spurs finished top 4 and won the Europa League, I think for sure there wouldn't be a debate about who's had the better season, because they're still leaving with they're still leaving. Yeah, or even higher. Like they got Europa League again. I think no one would really argue it. But it's the fact that they finished 16th. Like for me personally, we had a better season than them. You know what I mean? Because we both got top 4. They finished 5 points ahead of me, but we left.
Yeah, and that's fair because you guys came 4th in the league, so I can understand that. But forget where Chelsea finished in the league. The point I'm making isn't about your league position. It's about this idea of when you win a trophy, you've had a better season than people that haven't won a trophy. That as a general statement is incorrect, because every Chelsea fan that phoned into our show said, I'm glad we won this trophy, but I never want to be in it again, which means qualifying for the Champions League is more important to those Chelsea fans than winning the Conference League. Otherwise, might as well stay in this. I'd rather be in this every year because then we can win it every year. If all that matters is trophies, we have to, what you want is to be able to be in the biggest trophies with a chance of winning it. And that's an honest conversation. And with Spurs, look, they achieved brilliance and for their club. Really happy they won that trophy. But Spurs are doing the right thing here. Spurs are doing the right thing because your league performance, by the way, Big Ange's league performance is over 18 months. From when Chelsea smashed them up in that crazy 4-1 game, from that moment until now, the win percentage was in the mid-20s. That 18 months cannot be ignored because of a trophy. Trophies are an important part of this game, and you want to be winning them at the pinnacle. But your league form is your bread and butter and should generally speaking be the standard of which you are judged on in English football. I get that PSG, the standard Champions League. Why? Because it's a one-horse race. So you should be winning it. Do you know what I'm saying? So, but over in England, definitely your league position needs to be looked at. So Spurs have done the right thing. I'm actually glad to see they didn't act on emotion, lads. If they'd have been emotional and done the whole sort of, you know what, he's won us a trophy, we're going to give him one more chance, they could be throwing next season a Champions League campaign and potentially another 250 million pound in transfer fees down the toilet. They really could waste another year. So you have to say this is an isolated decision by Daniel Levy and co. Very good. Now it's on to who do they replace him with. I think that the replacement element is going to be really, really key now. But I think, as we've all said, it should be Thomas Frank. Any other candidates you think they should look at?
Ooh.
You've got Michael Carrick. You've got Michael Carrick. He just got sacked.
Carrick's just he's out of a job. I just don't know if Carrick is ready to coach in the Champions League. That's one thing. It might be a little bit of an early step for him, but Carrick is there. McKenna's there. Even though I don't think they should. You know what? Forget McKenna. I said no more project managers. I genuinely believe. I haven't thought about anyone other than Thomas Frank because he's been the one that's linked with him the most. So I just think they need a more of a senior manager, not a young manager.
Update from Sky. Sorry, gents. An update from Sky here just says Brentford will not stand in Thomas Frank's way if he wishes to join a bigger club. Tottenham have already met intermediaries to discuss the appointment of Thomas Frank. It really does feel like Thomas Frank.
He's going, man. He's gonna go there.
I think they sacked him knowing that they're getting Thomas Frank.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I don't think they sacked him and said, let's start doing research. Like, they know they want Thomas Frank.
You know what? All I've known since Brentford have been back is Thomas Frank. It's going to be weird without him being there, you know? Imagine Ange goes the other way. Imagine Ange goes the other way.
Yeah, but you know what it is? I think they've had a good run with this team, and it's time for something new. And I think they're just going to blow it up. Like, he's going to leave. They're probably going to sell Wissa. They're probably going to sell Mbeumo to us. Tony left a year ago. There's a lot of Danish players in this team. I think they're going to start making some moves and probably start something new there. They're going to cash in on a lot of their assets because they do have a lot of good assets, and they're all Premier League proven at this point. So I think they're going to do that.
Wow. Ornstein bomb. Wow.
Your captain.
Chelsea have started initial conversations with Man United over a deal for Garnacho.
You're lying.
I am lining you up.
He's lying.
Man. Don't do that.
I have notifications on. I didn't see that, so I was like, you know what? I'm not going to say nothing. I know this guy's bullshit.
Don't do that, you know. My belly was starting to hurt, but I thought I was at full.
Did you get a heartburn like the minute he said Garnacho with Chelsea?
Mostly, I felt like I was on a roller coaster. What are we talking about? My belly was hurting just then, bro. Yo, don't do that.
I was passed out.
Let's do some of the super chats here. This is a damn, that third season comment looks horrible now. Yeah. No, it does. I say it looks horrible. Look, he was celebrating. Look, he'll be walking away with a last compensation package. He'll be living life. He'll be loving life. I also think Ange wants to go as well in reality. I think, you know, I kept on saying this to Tottenham fans, don't let that night of pleasure and ecstasy cloud your pre-game judgment. He's got to do the same. He looks so unhappy at that club. He won the trophy. Go out as a hero. Leave as a hero. This is the last thing they'll remember is you winning it. Imagine they kept him and they lose 8 of their first 10 league games and then you get sacked. You'd leave and the memory wouldn't be that trophy. The memory would be the start of the season. So go out on a high, man.
You know what's crazy? We're always going to look back and say that Tottenham are the only club we know that sacked a manager right before a final and sacked a manager right after winning a European final. You cannot name me another club that done that.
Yeah,
that's one thing we're always going to be
England, no.
Yeah,
Spurs fans saying they had a better season than Arsenal. Would Ange have been sacked if he came second and got to a Champions League semi? It's a great point.
You know what's crazy, by the way? And you need to question him on this. Con Hussam, as I like to say, because he cons a lot of people all the time. I don't know how he gets people to believe in anything he says, which is a praise to him, actually. He said that Spurs have had a better season than Arsenal and Chelsea.
Pardon me?
Yeah, but you know, I already know what his logic is.
You forgot that, Don.
Yeah, but I already know what his logic is, Staffy, without even.
Can I tell you what it is? Actually, you take a guess. Go ahead.
Let me see if I can guess. The logic is because of their size and who and what they are, the achievement outweigh. What he is doing is pound for pound. He's doing pound for pound analysis, which, if we're living in a pound for pound world, yes, but based on that pound for pound logic, they've had a better year than Liverpool as well. But he didn't mention his own team because pound for pound, the size of Liverpool versus the size of Tottenham, it's the same difference. And you can start doing that across the board. I mean, based on his own logic, Arne Slot shouldn't be manager of the year. It's got to be Nuno because of pound for pound, and he probably wouldn't vote for that. But in reality, he's just capping there, Sam.
His logic was because Chelsea won the Conference League and they're used to winning the Champions Leagues. That doesn't overweigh the Spurs winning a Europa League. I said, and we're going to completely dismiss that one team finished in the top 4 and are more likely to compete for the league next year than Spurs, who finished in 17th. And he completely dismissed it. Guys, I'm gonna tell you guys this in the chat right now. Any content creator who lies to you and tells you league positioning does not matter is an absolute lie. It could be irrelevant sometimes in the outcome. So if we don't get Europe, but you finish 8th and I finish 17th, yes, we both had the same outcome, but I promise you, me finishing 8th, I was not as pissed as the person who finished 17th. That is a lie. People who pretend that league finish doesn't matter if you don't win it is an absolute lie. They all care for it.
No, 100%. 100%. Staffy, what you said about a manager getting sacked after winning something in Europe, yeah? Someone said it in the chat, actually. Sorry, won the Europa League and got sacked, bro.
What? Yeah, where did you finish that year?
We finished 4th, bro. Yeah, we didn't even need the Europa League. We finished 4th, but he still got sacked.
Yeah, but similarly though to the Ange situation, that he was just a dead man walking, wasn't he? There was problems. That was the season where Kepa refused to come off.
Yeah.
Remind me who took over from Sarri?
Was it not who took over from Sarri, bro? Was it that was after that was Lampard. Lampard came in after that. I'm pretty sure Lampard came in after that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it might have been Lampard. Yeah,
Lampard, because we had the
because Hazard left, and that's when you got the transfer ban, and you had like a bunch of kids. Okay, now I remember. But you know what? It was actually a very similar situation because Sarri was falling out. Your club didn't really like him like that. I remember a lot of fans didn't like Sarri Bowl. They were trying to move on, and that's when you had what's his name, Abramovich was still there, so he still had kind of had the high standard where I'm like, I need a little bit better.
And that was that weird summer as well, wasn't it? Where I think Sarri already started taking your pre-season, and no, you guys didn't sack him. No, that's a lie.
We finished third.
No, you didn't sack him. You were going to, and then rumor came out that Juve wanted him, so you guys waited. Juve paid compensation and took him off you,
and he left.
He
only
had Ronaldo.
He literally, that's it. You reminded me now. He literally stayed for 1 season, and then he went back to Italy because there was a lot of rumors that were coming out that he was homesick, and obviously with the whole smoking thing, and you know the fans didn't like the football, but the possession style football, and that. For me, actually, bro, I enjoyed Sarri Ball, bro. Like Loftus-Cheek was cooking. It was the first time where I really saw Hazard really getting real GNA in that team. Like that team was good. The only thing I didn't really like about that team was playing Kante as the 10. If you guys remember, I used to play Kante as a 10, bro. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, bro, Hazard was cooking. Loftus-Cheek was cooking. Obviously, we beat Arsenal in the final. We did get third. Someone in the chat did remind me, we got third that season. But yeah.
You had a good team under Sarri, to be fair. I remember that. Because that was Hazard's last season. And Hazard was pretty good in his last season. I remember he went to Juve, and then he kind of fell out with Ronaldo. He didn't want to play Ronaldo or something like that.
Sorry, didn't get sacked. Yeah, he left. He left on his own accord.
Do you know what? The reason why in my head I thought he was sacked is because he was a dead man walking, and then I remember that summer that story. I remember doing a video on it and just going, "That's one of the best bits of business I've seen a club do." In the sense of like, hold on from it, hold on, because he started taking pre-season as well. I swear he was coaching in the pre-season before he got sacked for like a week or so. And I remember Chelsea fans come on my live chat and I don't get what's going on. And I remember a Chelsea fan phoned in and said, "Watch, guys, we're going to get a compensation off of Juve because they want him." And it happened. And I was like, wow, that's, love or loathe Chelsea. Fantastic business, no doubt. This year says the league is getting so competitive. If United do come back, you could have 7 teams who could all argue could make the top 4. This year's top 4 battle could happen much more often going forward. You're right.
I don't think United will finish top 4. I'll just say that from now.
No, I agree with that. But in terms of, but the overarching point of the super chat, I think is correct in terms of it looks like it's going to remain.
It's never been more congested. I agree. That part of the league is way too congested now.
Although I think Aston Villa might have a big fall off. They look financially in a mess. And that's what happens when you spend 97% of your turnover on salary. They gambled. I don't think they can bring in Asensio. They can't bring in Rashford. They've got to sell some players now. And I know their fans are going to go, it's the red cartel and it's PSR. No, it's because you gambled. And at the end of the day, if you want to spend like the big teams, you've got to grow your revenues like the big teams. You can't that's why we spend so much. It isn't because we're big and got rich owners, because PSR stops that. It's because we've got big revenues, because we've grown over decades. So it's nothing to do with anyone holding you back. It's the rules of the game. And even we are restrained by how much we can and can't spend. But if people go, well, you can't make it because United and Liverpool and Chelsea are stopping us. Well, how have City become more profitable and more income than Real Madrid if PSR stops you? That either means you believe that they're cheating, or it believes you're full of shit that you can't get there either. It can't be one. It can't be both. But yeah, they could be in trouble this year. This here says they're doing another 20 years without winning now. I hope so, because that'd be a laugh again. It used to be enjoyable watching all of that. It did. On the goalkeeper conversation from earlier, it says take Ter Stegen and money for Rashford, lads. Great show, by the way. Is he still at his best, Ter Stegen, or is he well past his best now?
Best. They'd give him up for free if they can. They actually pay. Barca fans would pay money if you told them to get rid of Ter Stegen. They hate him.
What's happened to this guy, man?
Bro, he's a clown in goal now.
He's actually horrible. They got Szczesny now. They even gave Szczesny a new contract as well, isn't it?
It's because, well, to be fair, he did his ACL in the beginning of the season, so that's why they brought Szczesny out of retirement. But he's back, and the guy's an absolute clown, bro. They actually hate him. They hate Ter Stegen. They speak about Ter Stegen like United fans talk about Onana. If that's the best way I can give it to you.
United need to strengthen midfield, more priority than a goalkeeper. I don't know. So I understand why people think that. I get why Staffy wants the midfield, especially like a ball playing, high press resistant, athletic midfielder. I want the same. The problem is you could buy that. Onana is still going to throw the ball in the back of the net 5, 6, 7 games of the season. And I just think that will undo a lot of the good work. I would, if I had the choice, I'd pick a new goalkeeper that's going to keep us a lot more clean sheets and keep us in games, and then address the midfield the year after. I really would. A new
midfield. Here's my logic there. A new midfield gets me one step closer to where I want to be, which is eventually competing on the high end of trophies in the league and all that. I know a midfield revamp gets me closer to that. I know just not having Onana also just makes my life easier. Like, I don't need an amazing goalkeeper. I just need a goalkeeper that knows how to make a save and kick a ball. But the midfield actually needs a revamp. You can here's how I can put it. You can actually go into the season with a mediocre goalkeeper who's better than Onana and you're okay, but you can't go into the season with a mediocre midfield and it's okay. We can't. We need a midfield.
Sanchez is available, man. Sanchez is going to be about.
The reason why we're not even the reason why I'm not pressed about it is that there's regular reports that an athletic midfield player is on the agenda for the club. So I think we're going to buy a midfield player. I think it's a position that once we've sold some players, we will be looking at. Nags here says, I find the lesser competition argument odd because a college NFL team, a college football team who wins the national championship undefeated can never have a better season than the worst NFL team. Bigger is better is a relative term.
I don't think this is a disingenuous comparison though, because generally, so the NCAA, the college players, the minute that season ends, all these players go into the NFL anyways. I mean, the majority of them, the good ones. You can't really make the same comparison here. Like, I don't think this is the right way to compare it.
Well, look, who's had a better season? The team that wins the college version of the Super Bowl or the team that loses the Super Bowl final? Who's had a better season?
So it's the NCAA. So obviously the Super Bowl is a much more prestigious thing because that's the National Football League. But don't underplay college football. There's a lot of fans that don't even watch NFL, but they love college football.
Yeah, I mean, it is massive. Like a lot of people, I know Americans that watch it.
Like,
I know Americans that watch the college league. They don't watch the NFL. It's like their thing. I do get it, but it isn't as big. What we have to say globally isn't as big and it isn't as prestigious. But that's, I think, the point he's making. There's a lot of people that watch the Europa League. A lot of people watch the Conference League. But the point is, the only difference is that the college teams can't ever get into the NFL. But having said that, no one can get into the NFL because it's a closed league, so it's a little harder. But I do get the point.
Like the comparison between them, like college football is much more bigger in the US than the Europa League is in Europe. Like no one really respects the Europa League that much. College football is highly respected here.
That's where you are wrong. Outside of England, the Europa League is massively respected. Massively respected.
I wouldn't say. I think it still gets looked at as a second-rate trophy at the end of the day.
It's the second tier of European football, but it's still very well respected. It's the English clubs, and the reason why we do it, and then our fans, whether they're from England or international like yourself, do it, is because we spend half our time playing down these trophies so we can diminish the achievements of our rivals. That's all it is. When I was a kid, no one looked down their nose at any trophy. It's as we've got older, especially in the advent and use of social media, everything's about trying to shit on everybody else's achievement. And it's actually taken a bit of the joy away of winning some of these tournaments sometimes, because Sam did it a few years ago. Remember how angry he was when the boys had their flags on their backs when we won the Europa League, the League Cup. Just for 12 months later, for him, people got an energy drink cup. That's just a sponsor. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's the League Cup. And that's what fans do when it comes to English sport. Spurs is UCL football and no Paul. It's standards is what said there. Yeah, it's crazy.
What a waste, man.
Yeah, Elliot, you're right. Sorry, he didn't get sacked. He went back to Italy. But it's one of those things, isn't it? He didn't officially get sacked, but they were, until they found out a team was going to pay the compensation, they were going to sack him. So I get your point. This here says, funny thing is, United will win a major before Chelsea. Maybe. It doesn't look that way right now, but football changes fast, so potentially. But I'm not
going to say that comfortably. There's zero indicators to say that.
Yeah, I'm just saying maybe as well. I'm not saying.
I'm talking about the super chatter. Yeah.
Trying to understand and make people's reactions to United's transfers and fees is impossible, Staffy. People will make contrarian opinions for engagement.
Agreed.
100% when it comes to United.
Jarring.
In other news on United, before we move on to the Arsenal section, update from Fabrizio. Second time he's tweeted this. Is a quote tweet. Rasmus Højlund remains high on Inter's list of targets, as exclusively revealed last month. Multiple outlets in the last couple of hours are saying that talks are now starting, and there could be a willingness to pay up to 50 million euros for Rasmus Højlund.
Who's paying that Inter?
Potentially, yeah.
Boy, listen, I don't know what type of copium Mo was coming with on the timeline the other day, talking about, he's worked in Italy before. He even said something along the lines of, we're going to get him for free on a dry loan or some bullshit like that. You know what I mean?
He basically looks at it as it's just a loan. We're not paying a fee. We're just paying a part of his salary. I'll take that.
Boy, listen, I know he came from Italy. I know that's where you guys signed him from, but I know I've been watching week in, week out from this guy, man, and he's not it. He is not it, bro. Italy,
done. Done. Let me remind you. Let me remind you. Scott McTominay is the MVP of that league. That league has proven to be it's heaven for Premier League rejects. I seen Ashley Young go to that league and win. I saw Victor Moses go there and win. I seen Mkhitaryan and Eriksson go there and win.
Yeah, but Young wasn't finished anywhere there though. Young wasn't finished though. Like, he could at least offer you something. This guy offers
my point.
nothing.
My point is, there's a very good track record for Serie A teams when they buy players from the Premier League. Scott McTominay winning MVP, I think it did all of our clubs a favor, because they're going to look at that and they're going to say, how many Premier League players look shit in that league, but they're actually not shit players and they're misused, and we can reinvest in them and bring them here. It is good news for us. Like, I just want you to know that. If you ever have a player that you think is not good, you might get an Inter, a Juve, a Milan, a Napoli that want to get these players. This is why they want Garnacho as an example. How many Premier League rejects has Conte won with in that league? Lukaku, I'm seeing people say Lukaku. I don't think Lukaku's necessarily a Premier League reject. It was more like of an unpopular player in the league. Let's not speak about Lukaku like he's not one of the best strikers to pay in the Premier League, and he has good numbers.
That guy's got over 100 Premier League goals, man.
Yeah. Like, let's put him in a little bit more of a respectable conversation than that. I generally mean, like, Billy Gilmore went to Napoli, guys. What are we doing here? What's his name? Philip Billing. Guys.
Gilmore's not bad, though, man. Gilmore's not bad.
Is that about them being bad?
Let me ask you this, Staffy, yeah? Do you think that he'll have a successful time at Inter Milan, bro?
I don't know. I can't. There's no indicator to say that. But when you look at the track record, there's a chance.
What I will say,
what are you going to say, Don? Let's say he goes there and he scores like 15 goals. What are you saying?
What I am going to say, Don, if Man United get a loan with an obligation between 40 and 50 million, it means for me it's a cast iron fact then that he can no longer in your eyes be considered the worst Premier League signing ever, and that title has to go. Let me finish. That title has to go to Mihajlo Mudryk if United are able to sell him for that kind of money. It has to go.
Look at you.
It does. It goes to Mudryk. It goes to Madrid.
What made you come to that conclusion?
I'll tell you my reasons as to why. Rasmus Højlund was slightly more expensive by 5 million, okay, which goes against him. But if you compare both their careers at United and Chelsea respectively, Rasmus has won a trophy. Mudryk, I know officially he gets a medal for the Europa League at the conference, but we are not going to be shameless that he had any part in winning that. He didn't play in any of the knockout games. So he's won a trophy, okay? He scored 52% more goals and has a higher GA output, even though they're both crap. He hasn't been banned for being a drugs cheat, and he could land us 40 to 50 million pound back due to whatever it is that he's shown. So when I look at the two, and by the way, viewers, we're having a micro penis competition here, battle of the mid. For me, the man that has won more, scored more, didn't cheat by taking drugs to try and up his game, and then could give his club back 40 to 50 million and get bought by one of the biggest teams in the world, I'm not going to put him down as the worst signing ever. Can't do it.
If you want to look at all the other factors in that, fair enough. I'm looking at what I've seen from both of them on the pitch, right? Rasmus has had way more opportunities than Mudryk, bro.
Only because again, but let me just jump in for that though. I need to jump in on that one though. The reason why he's had way more opportunities though is because for the last 6 months, your guy has been banned for taking performance enhancing drugs.
I'm talking about even last year, bro, before he got banned. There was many games where he was playing better than Sterling. There was many games. Even now, the underlying metrics are still better than Sterling last year, bro. But Poch was still dropping, right? This guy was improving. This guy was developing. I was actually speaking to Mudryk haters start of this season that was saying, yo, I can't lie. Lately, Mudryk's actually been playing well, even off the bench.
He was taking drugs, bro. Well, right? He was taking drugs.
I hear all of that, right? We don't know, innit? We don't know if he's guilty.
No.
We don't know if he's guilty yet. We don't know if he's guilty, innit?
Taking his number away, let's
wait and see the outcome, right? Let's wait and see the outcome. But I know what I've been seeing from Rasmus week in, week out when this guy plays. He starts week in, week out, and it's absolute shambles on the pitch. Absolute shambles on the pitch, bro, right? The quality of that player is
terrible.
Shocking, bro. You know what I mean? It's absolutely shocking, bro. I've never seen a worse striker than him. Never seen a worse striker than him.
I
agree. Like I said with Mudryk, right? People like to see little clips on Twitter, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, where man kicks the ball bare far up, and now he had a shit game, right? The one told you about the chances he was creating for us. The one told you about the guys that he was skipping past. I told you guys what people start to say when he left. Hold on, Terry. I told you guys what I'll start to say when he left. I said we're going to miss this guy. Darko, everyone, Chelsea Twitter knows who Darko is, yeah? Darko was literally tweeting saying, I can't even lie, I miss Mudryk, bro. And this is one of the most toxic guys I know. Big up Darko, but he's one of the toxic guys I know, right? This guy is not as bad as what people are making him out to be. But a lot of people made up their mind on him. A lot of people made up their mind on him.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
And they were right to make up their minds on him because
Rasmus is shocking, bro.
I know Rasmus is shocking. So the difference between you and I is you're still trying to paint out Mudryk like he was doing well. The only time that man started to improve was at the same time that he failed a drugs test for taking performance enhancing drugs. There's a correlation here. We're going to wait to see if there's a causation. But the time of which you're going, I started to see improvements. Literally at the end, it's like imagine a sprinter always coming like
from the split off.
Hang on. Just last bit I'm going to say. Imagine a sprinter. We always watch this sprinter, and he's always coming sixth. He's always coming seventh, and he's never getting into finals. We're like, oh, he's so slow. Hang on, Terry. Did you see him last week? What happened? He came second. Did you see him last week? He nearly won. Did you see him last week? He qualified for the final. Ah, shit, he's been banned for taking drugs. Suddenly, that whole improvement goes out the window because he's a drugs cheat. So for me, in my battle of micro penises, I'm going to slightly side with Rasmus here because what Rasmus had done, at least he's going to bring us in some money at the end of it. I'm going with that underlying metric.
Like I said, for me, he was decent last season, and he didn't get banned. He didn't get no positive test for anything last year, bro. You know what I mean? I thought he had a decent season, bro. From what I saw from him last year.
So decent, you went out and bought loads more wingers and he was on the bench. Viewers, hit the like button for us.
This would have been the season when he exploded. And let me just say something as well.
But if why didn't he explode? Why didn't he explode?
He got banned, bro. He got banned.
There we go. He's worse. Yeah,
but if he went to, like I keep saying, if he went to Arsenal, right, he would have been a much better player than what he's been at Chelsea, bro.
Yeah.
And I still stand by that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe, but we don't know the answer to that. Viewers, give us your thoughts, give us your opinions in the comments section below. I think Spurs have now officially announced the sacking as well. Always so far behind. They said here, we are extremely grateful to Ange for his commitment and contribution during the 2 years at the club. Ange will always be remembered as the third manager in our history to deliver a European trophy. Thank you, Ange. But you're sacked, is what they said. moving on from that conversation of a little bit of fun, a big report this afternoon that Arsenal are advancing their talks with RB Leipzig to complete the deal to make him their new number 9 striker. Personal terms are not seen to be an issue. And it does look like Sesko. It does look like Sesko is going to be the deal that they get over, attempt to get over the line. Thoughts on the player and their decision to go down this this avenue?
I mean, it's another Goliath that they're signing, so he obviously fits the bill for Arteta. He loves these dual winners. He loves these guys that can just tower over everyone in the box, right? But like I said, I think it's a good signing. It's a player that Chelsea were looking at for a while. Watched a lot of this guy's games back, and I liked what I was seeing from him in terms of the ball striking, in terms of, like I said, how he runs the channels, how he links up play as well. He's not bad on the ball. He's not bad on the ball at all, right? But like I said before, I just think that the Gooners, a lot of Arsenal fans that I speak to, would rather have gone for less of a risk. You know what I mean? Because they feel like they're at a stage now where it's like, we've got to win the league, innit? Is Sesko going to take us to the league? That's a big question mark there. You know what I'm saying? But for me personally, I didn't want him, man, because of the whole Leipzig curse. We're cursed when it comes to Leipzig. With Werner, you've got Nkunku that came from there as well. You know what I'm trying to say? So I'd rather he goes there, innit? You know what I mean? But it's definitely an upgrade on what they've got, man, because he's actually a striker. He's actually a striker, bro.
I'm a little bit worried because I've heard Tom Little yesterday for a little bit. I tuned into the Top 6 show for a little bit, and I heard Tom Little he really hates Sesko. He really, really hates him. And I usually rate Tom Little's opinions, so I'm kind of worried. I'm like, wait, what does he see that he hates so much that I don't? Because I like Sesko. I do have a couple concerns. How much is the transfer rumored by again, Terry? How much are they going to pay?
Oh, well, it's up to 90 million euros. So, I think that's about 78 million pound, I think.
I don't know about that one, man. I don't know. I thought it would
75 million it comes in at.
Pounds. That's including add-ons or without?
That's just, someone's saying 67 million. So if it's 67 million, that's more like 80 million euros.
Okay.
So it might be 80 million euros. It might be. But it just goes to show, by the way, sorry to interject. We're seeing 59. There's multiple reports. I've seen go as high as 90, but let's round it up. Let's go in the middle and just say like 70 million pounds. Let's say 70 million. Let's just round it up.
70 to 80, around that.
Yeah.
I think I've been on record here saying a couple of times, I think he kind of suits how Arsenal play a little bit more. I think he's going to be good in the box. He's very athletic, very agile, tall as hell, by the way. This guy should be playing basketball. He shouldn't be playing football. The thing that's just kind of like, that worries me a little bit, I did say that I don't think Gyokeres fits that team, but that's my opinion. I just want to know why Arteta didn't want him. Like, why wouldn't you want a striker that scored all these goals in Europe and in the league last season, 27, and he's a cheaper deal? That is the part that I just find a little bit confusing. Like that's all it is. Like I still like Sesko. I actually think he's going to be, I don't like these Darwin Núñez comparisons. He just hits the ball with his legs like Núñez. Núñez, I think he's a very intelligent footballer in his movement. He just couldn't get that extra 5 to 10% improvement that, like Mike Dash used to always say, that's all he needed to be a better striker for Liverpool. He never was able to do that. I think Sesko could do that. I'm just very confused. Why would you go for a player who scored, I think he has 13 goals in Bundesliga last season, which is not massive. It's not a big number. It's good, but it's not massive. Why would you go for him and not Gyokeres, who's a little bit more proven? And the things that worry me a little bit is that I think Arteta is going for a lesser character again. I think he has a big issue with coaching big players. I think he'd rather make a player big rather than sign a big player. I just find it weird, man. I don't know. Just something with that doesn't sit well with me. I feel like there was more proven options if that's the route that we're going for. Instead, they're going for another project striker. It seems a little bit off. However, I mean, that apart, I think he's a good player. I think if you give him a proper system and you feed him enough more chances, I do think he'll be a good striker for the Premier League. I just don't know if I could trust Arteta to do that. I've given Arteta a lot of praise. I think for a lot of what he's done last season with the injuries that he's had, I think he's proved that he's a decent coach. I don't like when people call him a shit coach, I just have my reservations on how much he can improve this front line and how he can improve this attack. And if he's even going to be an offensive-minded manager next season rather than being a little bit more defensive-minded and relying on set pieces. I don't know. I didn't see that step forward from the way that they played last season. So I don't know. I don't know. I understand why the Arsenal fans are going to be split up on this one a little bit. And I do understand why a lot of them are going to look at this and say, we probably overpaid for a player who's still not proven. 80 million or whatever it is can probably get you a proven striker right now. Instead, we got it on another young striker who hasn't proved anything in the Premier League yet. So I understand the reservations. I'm not saying rule it out. Arsenal fans, don't rule it out. Don't think he's going to fail because rivals are going to tell he's going to fail. Just, as Terry likes to say, keep your powder dry. But I understand if you guys are a little bit split up on this one. I generally do.
Marco here says, not true, Staffy. He got Rice, Zubi, Partey, Trossard, and it's also not about egos. I know you didn't say that, but Xhaka had an ego. It's about buying into the approach.
So I don't think Rice has an ego. I think Rice is a very good player. I don't think I've heard anything bad from anyone who managed him. And to be fair, Rice joined at what? How old was he? Like I don't think Rice was a world beater when he signed him. He had all the potential and it worked, but it was a transfer record for a player that didn't really like do it yet. Like he was playing for 16th place West Ham. Like I can't say that was you didn't sign a player who played for Madrid as an example. Like I don't think that's the right comparison there. Zubimendi still didn't sign. Partey, let's be honest, Partey wasn't an amazing signer. Like he's a good player, but I don't think when they signed Partey, anyone looked at Partey and said, "Oh my God, they signed a world beater in his position." Trossard is the only one that could probably argue that he signed a player that had an ego because he was generally benched and left out from the Brighton team because he demanded a move. But even Trossard, it's not like you sign a big player in his position. Like the Gyokeres signing to me would have been the biggest signing that Arteta made in his career if he would have gotten him, because he's the one player you can look at that he's undisputed by a lot of fans as one of the best strikers in the world, and his numbers speak for it.
Partey was definitely a big signing, bro.
I can't really remember it being like, I remember him coming from Atleti, but I don't think maybe I just don't remember. I just don't remember it being like an insane signing where they were like, oh my God, look, like we signed the best player in his position in the world. I don't remember that.
Let's go a few of these comments here. First one says, is Arteta afraid that older strikers might be the same as Lacazette and Aubameyang? Does he worry Gyokeres has similar mentality at 27? Just a thought. I don't know about that. I don't necessarily think it's right. What I will say is this, is that I rate Gyokeres. Let's be objective about this and leave our own emotions out of it. I thought more teams would be scrambling to sign him, but they're not. So maybe there's something in that. Let's wait and see what happens. Personally, I think Gyokeres will kill it in the Premier League, but let's wait and see what happens. There's also the other side of that argument. I'm being objective. Maybe Man United have already changed Gyokeres' mind. So maybe the reason that Arsenal have gone from Gyokeres to Sesko is because Gyokeres has said, actually, I'm going to go and play for Man United and reunite with Ruben Amorim. I do feel that, look, it's okay to have an opinion. I'm just open-minded to this. I like Sesko. I think he's a very good football player. I think he has the potential to score a lot of goals. I think he was playing in a very average Leipzig team last year and still scored a decent amount of goals. People love their stats and underlying metrics, but they hate them when they don't serve their purpose. His conversion rate is good, but he played for one of the worst teams in Germany in terms of chance creation last year. So I think he's got a really good chance of improving Arsenal. But the rationale and the reasoning, there isn't a single credible report I've seen, Staffy and Don, from a single journalist who has said this is Arteta yielding power and Berta's upset and there's a dynamic problem. It's all very much, there's been argument and conflict and there's been great debates over who to bring in, but there is a real good working relationship and they're kind of happy with either option. They both feel it will improve the team. So I think mountains are being made out of molehills. And I do understand the stress that Arsenal fans are under wanting to win. But I see this as a really good piece of business. I just don't think Arteta's sitting there going, I can't bring in a 27-year-old in case he starts turning up late like Aubameyang. I really don't think
I don't
That's
think
what
he's
his mind
doing
is
that.
saying.
Also, Terry, I just don't know what's his thing. Like, he doesn't go for that age of players. Like, I don't see it enough. Like, for a player to be 27 as a striker, that's when you're in your peak or entering your peak. I just don't know why they didn't go enough for enough of these signings. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Like, we can talk about profiles, and that's fine. It's just the fact that they don't go for these type of signings. And I feel like that's why a lot of Arsenal fans have their reservations, and I think it is valid at this point. 5 years into your imagine Fergie didn't want to sign Robin van Persie at 29 because he was worried about like his ego or whatever, and he'd rather get in a younger striker.
But they're also about to sign Zubimendi, that's 26, turning 27 next year.
Yeah, but you can put that down more to the Spanish connection, honestly. And I don't think I like Zubimendi, but I don't look at that like. Let's differentiate a little bit between massive goal scorers, because let's be honest, like the biggest hype always goes around the goal scorers. You sign a big goal scorer in the summer, especially around 27, 28, 29. People know that's an insane signing. That's a big signing.
Yeah, because he also signed like David Raya at 27. So I'm only pointing out that for being objective. I've seen him sign players that are older. I don't. What my point to this super chat is, I don't think he looks at 27-year-olds and thinks too old or the attitude might not be right. I think their reasoning for going for Sesko, and this I don't think is anything other than let's just put aside let's put aside all other suggestions that Gyokeres might have said no or anything along those lines. I think this is Berta and Arteta discussing this with others and making a footballing decision. I don't think it's about one being 27 and one being 22 or her of 22, 23 years of age. I don't personally think it's that. I get why people are putting that conclusion together, but he has signed other players that are in their late 20s or is going to. So
it's not as big as the signing of Gyokeres would have been. You're still missing my point. I get what you're saying, but it's still not a massive signing like that. I don't know what it is, by the way. I'm not saying he's dodging it. I'm saying, is he? I don't know. I just don't know why they don't go enough for enough of these signings. That's all I'm saying. I think it's very valid.
If it isn't about that, but they are trying to get Rodrigo. So they're making a big offer to him.
Even Rodrigo, like I like Rodrigo, but it's not like Rodrigo is playing his best game right now in Madrid. The reason he's leaving Madrid is because a lot of Madrid fans feel like he doesn't even have a spot there. Vinny's playing on the left, and if Vinny's not playing on the left, they'll switch Mbappe there. I like Rodrigo. I think he's a very good player, and I think if he goes to Arsenal, it's a great signing for them. But it's not like they're signing a player who's absolutely tearing down trees right now. Like that's not what he's doing. Gyokeres is. Like I don't understand what's hard to what are people confusing here? Gyokeres' signing is if anyone gets Gyokeres this summer, everyone would say this is a great signing for whoever club gets
no,
it. There's question marks around other players, just not him.
Hang on, but haven't you said that Sesko fits Arsenal better than?
Yeah, I think profile-wise, I think it fits better.
But then that's it. Sure. So that's his reason. His reason is
that's it. I don't know.
Football. It's not to do. My point is, I don't think he's saying no to Gyokeres because he's a star striker who's 27. I don't personally think it's that. You back with us, Don?
Yeah, sorry, man. I restarted my shit, man. My connection's moving crazy.
That's why he still wants Rodrigo. That's from Sarcasm Spartan. Nick, who is a Chelsea fan here, says Mudryk was overpriced and unbelievably average. I agree.
I mean, most of his price was basically based on potential, right? If you actually break down his talent, he was probably worth about 30 million, 40 million max.
I wouldn't say McTominay was a flop. It was United, is what Fonzie says here.
Fonzie, I'd love to see your comments from a year ago. You definitely was calling him a bum or all that stuff.
James Black says the Europa League equals Mickey Mouse Cup. Yeah, that's kind of stuff English fans have done to diminish other people's achievements. It's what we do. It's what we do. TJD says, what goal scorer has moved to the Premier League over 25 years old in the last 7 to 8 years that's worked?
No, I'm not sure. But
I don't know the answer to that question. What I would say, though, is that doesn't mean that some wouldn't have worked, because if for instance, Zlatan came over here, that's probably in that time period, he worked until he broke his knee. If Lewandowski would have joined the Premier League 4 or 5 years ago, that would have worked. It's about signing the right quality.
What's cost over 25 at the time?
The better question, Terry, would be how many players at that age were available to come to the Premier League? Because the only one I could think of, and he was still a lot younger, but let's not even joke, he was definitely in his prime because of how many goals he was scoring. You'd say Haaland. It's just like Haaland is such a freak in nature that he hit his prime at like 21, 22.
Aubameyang's a good example. Aubameyang's a very good example.
Yeah, but that's not in the last 7-8 years, I think. But I'd say how many of them were available. I just think Gyokeres is available, and it's just like a little bit weird for me that we all know they need a striker, and they don't want to get him. I don't know.
So what you're saying is they need a bit of a statement sign. Is that what you're basically saying?
Yeah, the chat's upset with me because I said like that he kind of shies away a little bit from these like statement signings, these big signings, players in their prime, especially like a goal scorer. And they use some examples.
The main statement signing he's made is probably Rice. That was it, like Rice, because obviously Man City wanted him as well, isn't it? He hasn't really made many statement signings, to be fair. Someone
says Pato. Pato was in his prime. What are we doing here? Pato was so washed.
Bro, Pato, you know, this guy.
Someone compared to the Rodrigo. Can you do you agree with me?
He scored 1 goal for Chelsea. It was a fucking penalty, bro.
What do you think about Rodrigo? Because someone uses Rodrigo as an example, and I was like, it's not like Rodrigo's absolutely outperforming Real Madrid and he's getting a move. Like, if anything, they're trying to move around.
Yeah, exactly. I think with Rodrigo, it's kind of you're getting him on a technicality, innit? You know what I mean? You can't really.
Rodrigo's a Sanchez. There. Remember when Sanchez left Barcelona? He wasn't really appreciated there. He was good. Exactly. He just wasn't appreciated.
That's what it is. That's what it is, man.
No one is really buying. Sorry, no one are really buying strikers at prime ages in the Premier League.
That's not true. We're going for Mbeumo and Gyokeres.
Well, not strikers, are they?
Gyokeres?
Sorry, Mbeumo. Sorry, he's not striker. Sorry.
I mean, Mbeumo's an attacker.
Yeah.
So Don was another example. He worked. He scored a lot of goals for Arsenal, man. I wanted him at Chelsea instead of Mudryk. People think I just love off Mudryk, bro. I thought he was going over there. I wanted Trossard, bro.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying there. Some players are in their prime earlier though, so it's one of those things. Sorry, we done a super chat. To Don, top 6. We got 1 game a week. That might help. He's saying about Man United. Man United could make the top 6 because we have 1 game a week.
Wait, I never said you can't make top 6. I think it's
no. I don't think he's not saying. Yeah, he's not saying. He's saying that we could make it because we got 1 game a week. Is what he's saying.
Yeah. 1 game a week ain't the be all end all, man. You know, Chelsea had 1 game a week, and we fucking was mid-table throughout the whole season, pretty much until the end. So Amorim still needs to get things correctly. You know what I mean? He still needs to make sure that he's managing the team well. The in-game management has to be good. He's setting the team up well. Otherwise, it'll be the same problems.
Thomas Frank is the leading contender, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, the problems at Man United last me weren't the setup; it was the players, and I think we'll see that if we improve the players this year. But again, time will tell. I just tweeted George back. He said, "We've got to go and get Xavi," and I'm not even going to tweet. I literally just tweeted him back saying Thomas Frank is perfect for you. And what I mean by that, because I'm already getting replies from people, is Xavi you're never going to buy Xavi the overarching quality of player that is going to see him create a success. What you'll end up doing is bringing in players that can partly do what he wants. There's going to be holes everywhere because he's never going to have the technical and physical combination combined of players to make the style of football he tries to coach work. And then you're going to have holes like Ange's team. You need a manager that's suitable for how you're going to build a squad based on who you are. I get why you want Xavi, because you want Xavi and then you want the signings to match Xavi so you become one of the best teams in the world. But you know you're not going to get those signings. So get
he wants to feel better than what he is. He basically wants to feel better than what he is. That's all it is.
Do you know what it is they're doing, right? It's like buying a car that you don't have the money to pay the insurance on and you can't afford to drive it.
I was literally just about to say that, Terry. It's like buying a fucking Lamborghini Urus right now and you can't even afford the petrol. You can only afford 1 trip a month. The rest of the time, the car's got to stay at yard. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what it is. I had a mate when we were younger, right? He went out and it wasn't even like a supercar. He went and bought an M4 BMW, brand new. And he bought it and it was like £900 a month. And we were like young lads, like 20 years old. And he weren't even earning that much. I went, what's the insurance? And he was like, yeah, that's like £800 a month or something. And then I remember we drove somewhere and it's the first time I'd ever seen it. He goes, how much that cost you in petrol? He was like 1 town to the next one. Yeah, that's been like £26 in petrol gone. And I remember after like a month and a half, he barely came out of his car. Where's your car? And he was the same thing. He went, I can't afford to drive it. I've got no money left. Once I paid the insurance and the premium, like with like BMW finance, he went, I've got almost no money. He had to stop coming out on weekends with us, all for this car. You don't want to do that as a football club. Like, but live within your means, and you'll be happier. Like, by and large, you'll be happier for longer periods if you live within your means. And
that's the irony of it. Like, Thomas Frank will actually have these guys in the domestic cups as well, actually going further potentially, right? Because he knows the Prem, he knows the teams in the Prem, bro. He's been managing for a while. He's managed to stabilize Brentford as well. They're not a team that was in the Prem consistently like this. They've been in the Prem now for nearly a decade, bro, isn't it?
110%. And I will say this: I'm not trying to little bro Tottenham. I think Thomas Frank would consistently have Spurs in a higher position in the league than Xavi could. I think I'll go one step further. I think Thomas Frank, league position wise, would do better at Tottenham than Pep Guardiola would. I think
knows how to work with that.
Because I don't think they'd ever be able to get Pep the quality needed to make his system purr. It would fall short. They need the right manager for who they are, and they will get better results. You know, square pegs, round holes. You need the opposite to this. And for me, the right horse for this course is Thomas Frank. He'll be a danger at Tottenham. And trust me, they're not going to like it. They're not going to like it, Spurs fans, because they want the best in terms of name and hype. But trust me, Thomas Frank will kill it for you. I'm telling you. I'm more worried about Thomas Frank going to Tottenham than I would be a Pep Guardiola. Did Dembele lose the Ballon d'Or yesterday?
No.
Welcome to Cucurella's penitentiary, man. You know what I'm saying? There's so many players in there, bro. Saka's in there. Salah's in there. Ahmad's in there. Dembele's in there.
Anthony was as well, unfortunately.
Yeah. There's so many people.
Did you guys see the goals from yesterday's game, by the way? Oh, my Lord.
Do you know what?
Mad.
I saw the score when it was 5-1. I didn't realize until an hour ago it was 5-4 in the end. I didn't know.
Right?
I didn't know.
I came on and I scored a goal and assist on my debut.
Oh. By the way. Did you see is his name Costa Sal? Did you see the first Portugal goal the other night? Costa Sal's goal?
No, I didn't see that game. I only saw yesterday's game.
He picked the dribble and the shot was just amazing. Absolutely. You'd have loved it as well because Bruno was playing in a deeper role and he absolutely bossed the German midfield and bossed it in that second half. He did brilliantly.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna lie. I don't rate that German midfield so much.
Oh, yeah, really is. Shitting on his own.
That's
your new nickname now. That's your new nickname. Your new nickname is shit on his own Staffy. That's him.
What? I'm not even digging at Bruno, bro. I know the Portugal midfield is better than them.
I can't lie, yeah.
I'm taking a dig at Wirtz, bro. You just missed a great opportunity there. There you go.
Hey, listen, you see that Brazilian team, yeah? They've got zero cohesion, bro. Like, I stayed up watching that game, and the first half was honestly sending me to sleep. Like, the only player worth talking about in the game was Caicedo, again. You know what I mean?
Bro, wallahi, bro, listen. Pele, bro, he's turning in his grave, bro, because of this Brazilian football that we're watching. Oh my God, bro. And 0-0 in a Brazil game. Horrible football, bro. Horrible. And now they got the terrorist Carlo Ancelotti. Oh my God, bro. Horrible football. Horrible football.
They were barely getting the ball to Esteval. Like, I saw a lot of Chelsea fans.
I saw that he started.
He's not ready. And I'm like, bro, if you watched the game, you would have seen that he barely had any touches on the ball. Like, he was involved a couple of times, but someone like Esteval, you get the ball to him consistently, bro. Like, the midfield is a bit meaty. Santos comes on mad late. It was a dead game, man. Caicedo was the best out of all of them for me.
Let me ask you a question, just to bring it back to the France game again. I'm asking you on Terry. Who do you guys think is better? Because there's been a debate since yesterday on football Twitter. Who's better, Wirtz or Cherki?
Bruno Fernandes.
Who do you think is better?
This guy is so shameless.
Guy's so obsessed, man.
You know what? I can't lie stuff you, yeah, bro. I haven't overly watched Wirtz and Cherki to really have a strong opinion on who I think's better. But I think they're cold. I think they're both cold, bro. You have to come back to me when I watch them in the Prem.
We've got Hassam on this one. Basing it on pound for pound on their valuation and what they cost, I'm going to go with Cherki. So that's the issue when you start trying to point score with pound for pound, because pound for pound, you know how much more Wirtz has got to do than Cherki to be more successful. But on a real level, I've got a horrible feeling it's going to be Cherki, you know. And when I say horrible feeling, I think he's going to kill it for City in the Prem. I'm not saying Wirtz won't do well. I think Wirtz is going to be a very good player. I just watched when Cherki played against us. It was just it's the nonchalant way he does things so consistently. When a football player, this is the way I would word it. When a football player looks like he has more time on the ball than anybody else, you've got a problem on your hands. When they look like they have all the time in the world, almost like time stands still, because they can just they can operate in tight spaces. They can find an extra half yard easy. Their brain works quicker than all the other players. Wirtz, amazing. I think Liverpool are signing a stellar player. I'm not putting him down, but for me, I've just got this horrible gut feeling that Cherki is going to be amazing for City.
People
for
are doing
30 million. I think it's a better deal.
I mean, we've even got Ade in the chat right now talking about Pep's just gonna stifle him. Like, bro, I'm just bored of that line. I'm bored of that.
But it's true, though. It's true.
No,
we have evidence to say that.
Yeah, but bro, listen. You can talk about evidence as much as you want, right? When it comes to certain players like Cherki, as long as you play this guy centrally, he is gonna do what KDB used to do for these guys in terms of the creativity. He is coming into that team to basically replace the creativity that KDB brought in, bro. Right? You can't stifle a man when he's in dangerous positions to try create for Haaland. You can't be Cherki's not going to be looking at Haaland making off the shoulder runs and saying, "Oh no, Pep saying we need to keep the ball. Let me go backwards. Let me go to the left. Let me go to the right." Yeah, there's certain players, Staffy. I'm sorry, you can't stifle certain players. And
so
again, I can't stress how important it is that you play this guy down the middle. Yeah, and it's what I mean. People on YouTube, yeah, you guys have no comprehension. No one said he plays like KDB. No one said that. I said he's replacing the creativity that KDB brings.
No, I understand you.
That's what I said. I never said he plays like him. They don't play alike, right?
Okay, so here's my worry,
as long as he plays him down the middle, he's gonna have a fantastic first season, bro. As long as he's played centrally.
Okay, so here's my worry. Yeah. Let me ask you this: where did KDB play for the City team?
Down the middle, bro.
No, but where exactly? Because they played a midfield 3, a 6, and 2 8s. Where did KDB play? Because I know people always called KDB a 10, but he never actually played in a 10 for City. He's always played in that right 8 position where he's between the winger and he's between the exact middle line. So he kind of occupies that area. So a lot of times he actually look like David Beckham just playing on that right, crossing the ball onto the back post. That is a lot of his creativity came from that. And sometimes obviously he'd be moved around, but predominantly he was there. My worry about Cherki is that I think Cherki is the anti-Pep player. When I say he's the anti-Pep player is because he's someone that's needs a little bit of a free roam. There's players that you can't really restrict to a certain area on the pitch. Pep generally coaches players to tell them which areas of the pitch they should be in with and without the ball. I look at Cherki, I think he's brilliant. I look at Pep, he's a brilliant coach. I just don't think it's a match that makes a lot of sense. If you put Cherki and you restrict him to certain areas, and you're like, you know what? I can't have you roam around to the right. I can't have you roam around to the left. You have to say in these certain areas. I don't think you get the best out of him. And that's why I'm issuing that question. It has nothing to do with his ability and that he will flop or not City. I don't know. I just seen him. Like when I watched the Lyon games, the 2 games against us, bro, he'd be dropping deep. He'd be higher up the pitch. He'd be leading the counterattack. He'd be trailing on the counterattack. He drifted to the left when the ball was there. He drifted to the right when the ball was there. He's all over the place. I don't see Pep doing that with a lot of his players. That's how Pep has always been. And you can argue that that's the reason Pep has had success. There was a story that Henri told us at Barcelona where he scored a goal and got subbed off at halftime, and Pep subbed him off because he scored the goal going to the right, and he left the left side position where he wants him to stay in. That's who he's always been as a coach. So unless he changes that, there is a reasonable reservation to have on Cherki actually playing his best football there. He reminds me of Grealish. We always knew he's just not someone to keep him in the left wing. His best ball came from Villa when he drifted into the middle.
Yeah, but
so why am I not meant to think the same thing can happen? It's fine to say.
That's why I specifically said play him down the middle, because if Grealish was played centrally, I think he would have done a lot better at City. But you play him on the left, and you're stifling him there, bro, because he's not a winger. He wants to cut in every time. He wants to keep the ball every time.
I don't think.
So are you saying play 2 6s and a 10, or like a double pivot and a 10, basically?
What, as in now the shape is
like now. When Cherki comes in, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'll probably say like obviously you start off in terms of build up. Rodri doesn't even need a Reinders next to him, bro. Right? But if he does that, you play a 4-2-3-1. You have Cherki in the 10, and most of the time, bro, teams are going to sit back against Man City. You have Reinders and Cherki in advanced positions, and you've got Cherki trying to find those little passes, bro. And that guy's IQ's mad. The guy's IQ's mad. Even just on the ball, the things that he does on the ball is crazy. You're gonna have more shots outside the box. the goal that he scored yesterday, man just walked off like it was a normal goal. You know what I mean?
He's
What a
excellent.
hit, by the way.
Gatman here.
Goal,
Gatman here says, if Wirtz hadn't rejected City and Liverpool ended up with Cherki, everyone would say the opposite. So transparent.
I think Cherki fits Liverpool more than City, if that makes you feel better.
I rate them both. I'm not gonna. I tend not to do this thing where it's like I'm gonna slag off one player to make the guy.
I'm comparing City and Liverpool.
No. I understand that. I'm answering it from my perspective, and I think they're both excellent players. But I'm being asked who I think is going to be the best of the two at their respective clubs, and for me, I just think Cherki. That doesn't mean Wirtz won't be very good as well. At the end of the day, what I'm not going to do is the whole I love Ronaldo, so therefore Messi's crap. Or, I love Mahalo Mudryk so much, I'm going to pretend he was good. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to do anything like that on the show. Who exactly is in for Gyokeres? Even Liverpool and Chelsea are going for Ekitike. Even United has not put in a bid. There is something fishy with the last.
Let's say the lad. Let's say the lad.
Oh, the lad.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, man. Listen, I don't know what's going on there, man, because the amount of goals this guy scores is ridiculous. But you got to look at the league, innit? And I've spoken to Jem many times about this because Jem loves Gyokeres, right? And I've said, bro, like, I can't lie, most of the goals I'm watching, this guy's in so much space, like so much space. You know what I'm trying to say? But I wouldn't turn him down if he was to come Chelsea, bro. The way we play, the chances we create, I'll be calm with it. But if you're a team that don't really create consistently, he might not be the guy for you, man, because his all-round game, in terms of linking up and that, I don't even think it's better than Sesko's for me.
I think he's given a word to Amarim a long time ago. And I think that's why. That's my guess. I have no proof of that. That's just my guess.
Nah. I think
make sense.
I think if Arsenal came in for him, he's picking them over you. I think if Chelsea come in for him, he's picking them over you, man. I don't think it's that. I just think that we've both gone for other players.
Fair. I mean, you guys obviously looking at Ekitike right now, but you have given that number 9 shirt. Moving on to Chelsea. I mean, you've given that number 9 shirt to Delap.
Yep.
What does that mean for Ekitike? Because rarely would you give the number 9 to a player and then say you're on the bench. So how do you see that working if you land Ekitike? Yeah.
Listen, I'm not looking into the number too much, man. You know what I'm saying? I think it's one of them ones where it's like the last player that we had that had number 9. Who was it now that had it? Lukaku, bro. So it's been vacant. And obviously Delap, he's come in. You can clearly see this is the guy that believes in himself. You know what I mean? Like, he's definitely going to score a lot of the chances that Jackson was missing for me, right? But the main concern, Terry, that I've got is just the fact that going into Champions League football, it's the first time that he's doing it. So I want him to have a little bit more help. Because like I said to you lot last week, I'm not worried about the quality. You know what I'm saying? But form happens, bro. Form happens. Injuries happen. Delap might not be on form. Ekitike might be playing better than him, so Delap gets dropped. You know what I'm saying? Delap might be injured. Delap might need to get rotated to get rest and whatnot. I'm not looking at the number too much to say that he's our starting striker. Because right now, we could go pivot and go get Osimhen. I know he's turned down Saudi, but yeah, he might have a change of heart. This guy seems so indecisive. He might just have a change of heart and he comes in. You know what I'm trying to say? We could go get Gyokeres. And all of a sudden now you're looking at it and you know that Gyokeres is starting over Delap. You know what I'm saying? So it all depends on what we do and who we bring in. Because Ekitike, I'm seeing right now, it's looking like 100 million package or something like that. Yeah, Aubameyang was the last 9 actually at Chelsea. You're right. It wasn't Lukaku, it was Aubameyang. So yeah, bro, that's how I'm kind of looking at him, man. Let's see who we bring in for me to really say, okay, yeah, he's going to be our starter.
And Kudus as well. You made an approach to West Ham for Mohamed Kudus.
Yeah. Listen, Kudus, very good player, man. He didn't have a good year last year. I managed to catch a few West Ham games. Lopetegui was playing him left wing, and he's not a left winger. He's not a left winger, bro. And you saw how bad West Ham were as a team. You know what I'm trying to say? I think with Kudus, with better players around him, played more centrally, I think you'll get more out of him. You know, Chelsea right now, we've got a very good midfield, but we haven't really got many ball carriers. The only ball carrier we really have is Felix, and he's most likely going to get sold. Maresca don't fuck with it. You know what I'm trying to say? So if you bring a Kudus, you're bringing him off the bench, you know, against these low blocks to just drive through players, create a bit of mayhem. That's the sort of profile that we're missing, man. Because we're even looking at Rodgers as well. Rodgers is another one that we're looking at. And Kudus and Rodgers, they're quite similar with how they run through the midfield and whatnot, you know. And if you want to start him right wing as well, you can start him right wing. I think he's decent on the right in comparison to the left. So I'll be happy with Kudus, man. I think he's a goal threat, Very, a lot of energy. He works well off the ball. He's Premier League proven now. Good age. He rarely gets injured. I don't remember him getting injured at West Ham. I think that'll be a good signing, man.
Yeah, I think it would be as well. I think it'd be excellent. And you're also looking at a new goalkeeper as well in Magic Mike. Are you excited about that prospect?
Hey, I mean, after yesterday, a lot of people.
I was going to text you yesterday. That looked
I know, bro. A lot of people are trying to write man off now, innit? You know what I'm saying? And listen, the brothers in goal are a little bit sus at times. I can't even lie. I can say that because I'm a brother myself.
Makes mistakes, man.
Yeah. What happened? What happened yesterday? Sorry, I didn't see it.
He conceded 5 for starters. And the Yamal goal was very poor. So Yamal basically poked it with his toe, and it was going like lower left corner, and he just got a hand on it, and it still went in. Like it was a bad save. He should be keeping that out.
It should be in it, but Yamal scored a couple goals like that, Staffy, where it's like the ball's going away from him, but then he just manages to get something on it.
Yeah, like he pokes it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I still think he should have done better there.
No, 100%. But yeah, man, that would be a massive statement because this is one of the best keepers in the world in terms of his ball playing ability, much better than Sanchez. Like the only keeper last season that completed more passes than this guy was Petrovic, funny enough, and he's at Chelsea as well, right? But he will allow us to play how Maresca wants to play, man, because he's so comfortable in the ball. There's actually a dribbling compilation of a goalkeeper. I've never seen that in my life. And in terms of some of the saves that I've seen this guy make, it's mad. It's mad. You know what I'm trying to say? So, yeah, man, I'll be happy bringing him in. I can't lie.
I think his biggest worry, Don, is his injury record. For a goalkeeper, he gets injured so much. Him and Alisson are very weird goalkeepers. I don't know how goalkeepers ever get injured that much because you basically don't do a lot of...
He stayed fit most of the season, I'm hearing.
Last season, I don't think he picked up a big injury, but him and Alisson are 2 goalkeepers that just like weirdly just pick up random injuries that keep him out for a long time. And it's weird because you never really see a goalkeeper. Like these are type of outfield type of players that get these injuries. Goalkeepers tend to stay on their line. So unless they get kicked or someone bumps into them or they hit the post, you don't really see them get injured that much. So I think that's his biggest worry. Like the only thing you'd have to worry about is him just his injury record. Other than that, it's a good signing. For 25 to 30 mil, if you pull that off, I'm not gonna lie, it's a great signing. There's no other way I can talk about this. Even with his injury record, it's still a great signing.
100%. I can see it getting done in the next few days if we don't walk away, man. Because obviously we valued him to be 10 million. But if you go look at the history between Chelsea and AC Milan, bro, they've actually lowballed us on a lot of players, bro. They offered us a joke of a valuation for Pulisic, Giroud's, like Loftus-Cheek. You know these Italian clubs, bro. They are broke. You know what I'm trying to say? Well, they are broke, most of them. You know, so
I mean, they're out of Champions League, so they are broke. It's just it's a perfect time to go for him.
Perfect time, bro. They can't afford to lose him on the free, man. He's pushing for the move. We're playing Champions League football. We've got a very good relationship with them. They've got so many of our players. I can see it happening. It'll be mad if we walk away from it, especially after Fabrizio put out the exclusive. It will be embarrassing. You've got to get it done now. You can't let everyone know, look at that Manian, potentially a world-class keeper. But nope, we're going to walk away and not pay 20 million, you know? So we better get that done, man.
David here says, it's not really racist, the whole brother in goal thing, a bit of a laugh. But who is the best black goalkeeper ever? Dida, James, Shaka Hislop?
Oh, David James was very good, man. At Portsmouth, I remember him, bro.
It's Dida, man. It's got to be Dida. Kate Neeks is spot on. It's got to be. Of those names, I'd go with Dida, personally.
How about Mandanda? What I say? He retired last season as well. He just retired.
Nothing amazing about him.
I'd still go with Dida. Dida was amazing. Cal here, one of our 29 months as a member. Thank you very much. By the way, we gifted out some more memberships because we're doing a lot more member chat sections and shows now to all of our members, and we're sort of increasing the content for our members as well. So big up yourselves, everybody who is a member and everything else. So there's some new tiers, there's some new offers available. It's all pinned to the live chat if you guys want to go and check that out. But sacking him, as in Big Ange, is Levy's making it clear top 4 over trophies is what Cal says here. And you could see it that way. I see it as someone who wants his team to be good in the league and win trophies. Personally, I do think that's important. But there we go. JJ here says Mayan was exposed yesterday, man. I have my doubts now. I think JJ's.
To be fair to Mannion, though, I will say this. To be fair to Mannion, how Longley is allowed to play international football is a disgrace. I think Longley might be the worst center back I've ever seen in my life. As a goalkeeper, generally as a goalkeeper, I'd be pissed if my center back is allowing so many open shots against me like that. The guy had like 5 massive saves before he conceded the first goal. Longley is generally shit. I don't know what happened to Lenny Yoro. I'm happy that he's not going with that team because he's relaxing. But God, bro, if Saliba's not there, at least call a Euro. Longley, they should take his French citizenship away. I'm not gonna lie. That guy's horrible.
That defense was looking mad shaky.
Konate without Van Dijk, don't get me started, bro.
Scary sight. Scary sight.
It looks very spooky every time. Every time Van Dijk is not there, it looks very spooky. I saw, what's his name? Yeza Bariel turn on him and just play the ball to Nico Williams when they scored that first. It's very ugly when Van Dijk is not there to hold his hand.
I hear you. Listen, boys, I want to thank you both for tuning in. I want to thank all of our members, of all of our super chatters, everyone who has tuned into the show today. This is going to redirect you to our next show. So get across there, get it liked, get it bookmarked right now. Let the redirect happen so you know that that's ready to go. Don, Staffy, always a pleasure, gentlemen. I want to thank, by the way, Ronnie for becoming a brand new member of the show. JJ as well became a brand new member of the show during the stream as well. So a big thank you to you two gentlemen. I assume JJ's a man, might be a woman, but I'm assuming. Until next time, everybody, take care, goodbye, God bless, and we'll see you all again soon. Ange out.